Hi there folks, it's Gogan14 back for another Transformers review, and this time we're going to be taking a look at yet another figure from the Hunt for the Decepticons line. Yes, I'm revisiting the line that takes a break from the movieverse and slots that universe into a much more coherent direction. Today we're going to be taking a look at Hunt for the Decepticons, Insecticon. Now, rather than just me going ahead and saying this toy is well detailed, well painted, and all this and that and the other, I'm not going to repeat myself throughout this review, because this figure I really think is a little bit more than that, aside from being well painted and well detailed. It's one of those figures that I really think is a lot more than what it appears to be. And instead of it being well detailed and well painted, it's cleverly put together and cleverly designed. It's a cleverly well established figure, and it really does a lot to really stand out. And like most of the Hunt for the Decepticons scout figures, they do a very good job of standing out very well, and they do a very good job of looking very different from the other. But this one, I think, really kind of stands out for being quite unique, and just being a great little scout figure, and that's a great thing to really see. I would go ahead and talk about the bio, but there isn't really much I can say about this guy. This is a fictionless character, sadly, and I normally don't like talking about just the toy. I always have to go into the whole bio thing, but the only thing I can really gather from this guy is that he's a tough, fearsome little guy in battle, and in insect mode, he's quite fast, so he's a tough, little, fast dude, which I guess is fine, but really that's not much what I really want to say, so take it or leave it. But yes, the figure is really, really nice. I like it a lot, and of course, the insect mode is actually very nice. The alt mode is, as you can pretty much see, is a robot insect, and there's a very chromosome-ish look to it, which is kind of creepy. Very chromosomes, cyberpunk, creepy look to it, which is very, very unique. In fact, when it comes to this guy appearing in anything, the only thing I can think of which he appeared in was in Revenge of the Fallen, where I think it was this guy, or just a generic insect transformer that came in, was looking for Sam, and this was in the scene where Sam and Michaela were hiding from the Decepticons in Revenge of the Fallen. And I think it was Ravage who dispatched one of these little guys to search for the two, and found them, and then Sam ripped this little guy's head off, and then the Decepticons came in and caused havoc. Yeah, it might be this guy, it might be somebody else, who cares, it's someone different. But yes, this figure is really, really nice. It has a very good paint scheme, and it is very well detailed. Yes, I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. But what else can I really say about this figure? It's cleverly designed, and all over the toy you can see so much well put together detail, and the paintwork on it is very nice. The paintwork, in fact, is quite different. It's there are two different versions of this figure. There's the Takara Tomy Autobot Alliance release, which has a it has a dark brown lavender. It has a dark brown base with lavender points and clear white wings, and whereas this one has a sort of olive green with blue translucent wings and a little bit of light grey and silver joints, which is a very nice thing to have for this figure, but at the same time, it looks pretty nice. I like this version a little bit more than the Takara Tomy one. It has a nice colour scheme, but this one I think really works, so take it or leave it. Now, the arms. Now, of course, when it comes to articulation, the articulation you would expect, since it's an insect, it would have about 3 points of articulation in the arms. Well, sadly, that isn't the case, because this one actually has 30 points of articulation in both alt mode and robot mode, in that the legs can move back and forth like that. You can have this guy doing all sorts of neat little nifty poses to make this guy a little bit more, much more like an insect than just being really bland and boring. But yeah, this is one of the many moving joints you can have for this figure. It's quite nice. And of course, on the wings are, like I said before, the very translucent blue wings, which are very nicely painted, and of course you can see the Decepticon symbol right there at the bottom. The wings have a sort of icicle look to them, which is quite interesting to see. A very icicle, computerish looking design to it, which is quite cool. And of course the wings are on ball joints, so of course you can move the wings out like that to make this guy look like he's actually flying. Now he's an actual insect. He can fly rather than just stay in one position. And of course, on the head, you can see some nice painted detail on the head. The head, of course, inside has the red eye to show that he's a Decepticon, and a little bit of mechanical paintwork added to it to make it look a little bit more interesting. And of course, the mouth is the just boring plastic, the grey plastic, which is kind of nice to look at. But it's a nice little figure, I think. There's a little bit of greatness put into this figure, a lot of great detail, a lot of great articulation, and it just looks really, really nice. So really that's the alt mode wrapped up in one little bag. And of course on the back you can see a little bit of silver painting right there. But of course the transformation for this isn't really all that hard. The transformation, since this is a scout figure, the transformation is quite simple to do. So the first thing you want to do is of course just separate the arms. Slot those into place. There we are. And of course move that down and lift the robot head up and then slot that into place. And then on the robot legs reveal the heels, and there you go. This is pretty much Insecticon in his very simplistic but still very creepy robot mode. And the one thing that I want to point out about this figure is, like I said before, this figure has 30 points of articulation, so this figure is quite well loaded with a lot of movement. And up to about the legs, as well as up to about here, the legs and the whole set of the arms itself can rotate, but the thing is, if you move them around too much, they can often pop off, and it takes a while to put them back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate these firmly around, so you can see what's going on. Like, oh, there we go, there goes one of the arms. Actually, though, these arms are on ball joints, so they can easily be slotted into, but it's just, these joints can take a while to get back into place, so be very careful with that. Move these at the best caution, I would think. So, yes, you can have this guy doing all sorts of really nifty, creepy little poses to make this guy a little bit more interesting than what he already is. And the head. Now, I really like the head sculpt because, is it just me, or is it that the head sculpt of this figure looks a lot like Beast Wars Rampage's head design, in that Rampage always had this sort of, crab vagina mouth look to him, and it has a sort of Rampage look to it. In fact, the one thing I would like to see is if they took this head, make it larger, and if Hasbro were generous enough, make a Generations Rampage, use this head on that figure, because it would look perfect. This is a very Rampage looking head, and it just looks really, really good. You can see the red eyes right there to make it look like a Decepticon, and of course the head can rotate the full 360, and it's on a ball joint, so of course it can bob up and down like he's nodding. And of course the legs, I forgot about the legs, can move back and forth and in and out, and the knees are as follows. To wrap this up, we're going to just have this guy in one of the many poses you can have him in to make this guy feel a little bit more complete, and to just show how awesome he actually is. This is a really cleverly designed figure, I think. This is one of those figures that is a little bit, what's the word, overshadowed by a lot of figures that are they're getting a lot of attention nowadays, because with the Prime line going on, this is one of those figures that I really think needs a lot more attention. It's a great little figure, and it's well designed and just cleverly manipulated and very cleverly put together. It's a clever little figure and has a lot of potential to be something more, I think. And that's saying quite a lot for a Scout figure, but then again, figures like this don't really get a lot of attention, and that's a real shame, because Scout figures have their good points and bad points. This one has a lot of good points, and I really can't see anything wrong with it. But yes, this figure is very, very nice. Will I recommend it? Well, if you like Insecticons, if you like the Home for the Decepticons line, then it probably isn't your cup of tea, but if it is, I would recommend this toy highly. It's a great little figure, and it does a very good job of standing out from any of the other figures in the line. So anyway, yes, this has been Hunt for the Decepticons Insecticon, and I'm Skullgrim140. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all next time.